The observation deck of the Celestial Harmony hummed with the soft vibration of FTL engines as Ambassador Zerkoth watched the blue-green planet rotate below, in all his cycles serving the Galactic Coalition. He had never seen a species quite like humanity, reckless, emotional, and somehow still alive despite their homeworld's nightmare conditions. "Ambassador, we're approaching the derelict station," Captain Emma Reyes announced, her voice steady despite the tension crackling through the bridge. Her dark eyes scanned the view screen where the remains of Research Station Epsilon drifted like a broken skeleton against the void. "Sensors are picking up ... Something inside. Zerkoth's three-fingered hands trembled slightly. He had reviewed the distress call 17 times. The station's crew, a mix of coalition species, had encountered an organism during deep space exploration. The transmissions ended with screams that haunted even his filtered audio logs. "We should wait for the fleet," Zerkoth suggested, his translator implant converting his clicks and whistles into standard. Protocol dictates we rescue survivors if any remain," interrupted Jack Morrison, the ship's chief engineer. The stocky human stood at his console, already running equipment diagnostics. His jaw was set in that peculiar human expression Zerkoth had learned meant stubborn determination. "We've got maybe 6 hours of life support left on that station. The fleet won't arrive for 12. Emma nodded. "We're going in. Zerkoth, I need you coordinating with the medical bay. Whatever's on that station, we need to be ready." The ambassador wanted to protest. His species, the Velkari, were known throughout the galaxy for their wisdom and caution. They had survived 10,000 cycles by avoiding unnecessary risks. But he had learned something during his time with humans. They ran toward danger when others needed help, even when logic screamed to flee. "I will prepare the medical teams," he said quietly. The airlock hissed open, and Emma led the rescue team into Station Epsilon's darkened corridors. Emergency lights cast everything in crimson shadows. Jack followed close behind, his plasma cutter ready. Zerkoth stayed between them and the 4-person security detail, his environmental suit's sensors overwhelmed by the biological readings saturating the station. "There's organic matter everywhere," he whispered. The walls glistened with a translucent slime that pulsed with sickly bioluminescence. "The atmospheric composition is toxic to most coalition species. Nitrogen-sulfur compounds, acidic aerosols, but breathable for us," Jack noted grimly, checking his scanner. "Whatever this thing is, it's terraforming the station for Earth-like conditions." "That's not a coincidence." They found the first body in the laboratory section. Or rather, what remained of it. The creature a Velkari scientist had been dissolved from the inside out. Its exoskeleton collapsed like a discarded shell. Zerkoth felt his respiratory spiracles clench in horror. "Keep moving," Emma ordered, though her voice had gone tight. "Life signs are coming from the central hub." The central hub's doors had been sealed from the inside. Through the viewport they could see survivors 3, Velkari, 2 Slick, and 1 Torvin huddled behind an overturned console. And surrounding them, flowing across every surface like living oil, was the organism. It wasn't a single creature. It was billions of them, a collective intelligence that moved with terrifying coordination. Tendrils of black biomass reached toward the survivors, testing the makeshift barriers that were visibly corroding under the acidic assault. "We can't cut through the door," Jack said after examining it. "The moment we breach it, that thing floods through. We'll kill everyone, including ourselves." "Then we find another way," Emma said. She pointed to an access tunnel above the hub. "Environmental systems. We can drop in from above, grab the survivors, and extract through the maintenance shaft to the emergency pods." Zerkoth stared at her. "That tunnel passes directly through the organism's main mass. The moment we enter it, we'll be detected. The acidic composition alone will eat through our suits in minutes, so we'll be fast." Emma turned to Jack. "How long do we have once the acid starts working?" Jack ran calculations on his wrist computer. "Human suits, about 90 seconds before catastrophic failure." The ambassador's suit. He looked at Zerkoth apologetically. 30 seconds, maybe less. Your biology is more vulnerable to the compound mixture. Then I cannot go, Zerkath said, hating himself for the relief he felt. I would slow you down. Emma studied him for a long moment, then nodded. You coordinate the extraction from here. The moment we drop into that hub, you guide us to the fastest route out. Can you do that? Pride warred with terror in Zerkath's chest. Yes, I can do that. What happened next became the stuff of legend in Coalition records. Emma and Jack, along with 2 security officers, climbed into hell itself. The organism sensed them immediately, and the tunnel became a writhing mass of tendrils and dissolving horror. Zerkath watched through their helmet cameras, his voice guiding them through turns and obstacles as their suit integrity dropped with terrifying speed. Left. No, you're left. 10 meters to the drop point. They fell through the ceiling of the hub like avenging angels, plasma cutters sweeping away the biomass that had nearly breached the survivor's position. Jack worked with mechanical precision, melting through the organism while Emma physically hauled the weakened coalition members toward the maintenance shaft. Suit integrity at 40%? Jack's computer announced calmly. 25%, came Emma's, but they didn't stop. They didn't even slow down. Zerkath watched in awe as these humans, these fragile, short-lived creatures, carried his people through a gauntlet that would have killed any other coalition species in seconds. Extraction point in sight. Zerkath called out, 30 meters. Emma's suit failed first at 20 meters. Acidic vapor began eating at her exposed skin, but she simply gritted her teeth and kept moving. Supporting a slick engineer who had lost the use of her legs, Jack's suit breached at 10 meters. The organism sensed weakness and surged forward, but the human engineer turned and unleashed his plasma cutter in a wide arc. Buying precious seconds, they made it to the pods with Emma's face blistered and Jack's hands bleeding from chemical burns. Medical teams swarmed them immediately, but both humans refused treatment until every survivor was secure. Later, in the medical bay as nanits repaired the human's tissue, Zerkath stood beside Emma's bed. The captain was conscious, her eyes clear despite the pain medication. Why? He asked simply. You could have died. You should have died. Why risk everything for people you barely knew? Emma was quiet for a moment, then smiled that peculiar human expression that somehow conveyed both sadness and joy. Because that's what we do, Ambassador. Maybe it's stupid. Maybe it's illogical. But we look at someone who needs help, and we think, that could be me. That could be someone I love, and we just ... Can't leave them behind. Zerkath's translator couldn't capture the emotion that surged through him. His people had a word Kethver that meant something like the courage to choose compassion over survival. He had always thought it was just a philosophical concept, an ideal that evolution had made impossible, but watching these humans, these beautiful, terrifying, impossible humans, he finally understood they weren't reckless. They weren't illogical. They had simply decided that some things were worth dying for, and paradoxically, that decision was what made them so good at surviving. Humanity. Fuck, yeah, Jack muttered from the next bed over. His bandaged hands giving a weak thumbs dash up. Sigh. Koth didn't understand the phrase, but he clicked his agreement anyway. After today, he thought he finally understood what it meant to be human, and he had never been more honored to stand alongside them.